Welcome to Expert Profiles Atlanta, where Atlanta's influencers and innovators share strategies for overcoming obstacles and achieving success in business and life. Here's your host, best-selling author and Atlanta influencer, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today's guest is Dr. Joe Esposito, and he is going to teach you how to get well and stay well by showing you how to get to the cause of your healthcare problems and not just cover up the symptoms. He wants to help you get well and keep you well. He is board certified in chiropractic, in orthopedics, in pain management. He is double board certified in nutrition. He has a BS in clinical nutrition. He is a retired dietitian, and he has been in practice for over 33 years. And Dr. Joe also hosts the largest health and wellness radio show in the country. Welcome to the show, Dr. Joe Esposito.
Hey, thanks, Neil. I appreciate it.
Well, let's get right to the quality content here. Tell us just a little bit about yourself and your background and what kind of patients that you help.
Well, like I said, I've been in practice 33 years. We have a chiropractic practice, and it's a wellness clinic more than just chiropractic. Chiropractic, we work on the nervous system, and the goal for patients in our office is we want to get them a healthy functioning nervous system, a healthy digestive system, and good nutrition. And I believe that's the core to any healthcare plan. And if we can incorporate that into any healthcare plan, whether you're a surgical case, whether you have a disease like diabetes, whatever it is, if you can get the nervous system, digestive system, and nutrition balanced, chances are you're going to respond a lot better than if you don't.
So it's more than just chiropractic. Chiropractic is one special area that does a lot of good, but it really is these three things that come together. So tell us a little bit about the nervous system then and why it's so important.
Sure. Well, the nervous system controls everything. The way the body works is your brain is sending messages down your spine, out your nerves to every cell in the body. So there's a nerve that goes to your arm, makes your arm move, your leg move, your heart beat, your lungs breathe, your colon digest food. Everything happens because the brain tells it what to do. Two things can interfere with the messages that flow from the brain to the body that control the body: chemical or physical. Now, chemical would be food, drugs, alcohol, environmental toxins. So with our patients, we always want to do a nutrition workup on them and a lifestyle workup to find out what they're doing. For example, I can't eat monosodium glutamate or caffeine. I get a headache. So if somebody comes to us as a patient and we're treating them for headaches, and I don't dig a little deeper to find out, well, gosh, you're drinking coffee every day at 9 o'clock and get a headache at 10 o'clock, I'm going to be maybe giving the best chiropractic care in the world, but there's a chemical component that we're missing. So if we have chemical issues, we need to address it. Physically, as if a bone moves out of place in the spine or anywhere in the body, it can pinch a nerve. And if you pinch a nerve, it hurts. But 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. This, I believe, is the missing link in healthcare. If you have a pinched nerve, 10% of the time it hurts, 90% of the time it doesn't. So you can have a pinched nerve and not know it. And those nerves control your organs. So you want to know about stories. I countless stories of people with asthma. And we adjust the lower part of their neck and they're able to breathe better because the lower part of the neck is the nerve supply into the bronchial tubes in the lungs. We've had diabetics and we've got them on a great diet. They just can't stabilize their blood sugar, and we adjust the mid-back. That's the nerve supply to the pancreas. We've had people with problems with gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary problems, sexual problems. We check the nerves in the low back. That's the nerve to the colon, sex organs, and bladder. So when it comes to our patients, we want to check the nerves that feel pain, and we check the nerves that don't feel pain. And then my third concern with the spine is arthritis. If you have bones out of place, they will wear out. You will develop arthritis if bones are out of alignment. And that's the only promise I can give my patients. I can never promise a patient I can help them, but I can promise them if they have bones out of place, it will deteriorate. And so by realigning the vertebrae or any joint, it prevents the joints from rubbing up against each other and wearing out. So we want to fix the nerves that feel pain, we want to fix the nerves that don't feel pain, and we want to fix any misalignments that may lead to arthritis.
So Does everybody out there suffer with some kind of alignment problem if they're not going to see a chiropractor?
Most people do. I can honestly say maybe 2 patients, 3 patients a year come into our offices. We check them out and they're perfectly aligned. But generally speaking, if you've lived car accidents, sports injuries, lifting, bending, squatting, housework, yard work, working out, slip and fall, you're going to have misaligned vertebrae or any bones, and it's important to get those fixed.
And you say they show up in all different kinds of ailments, but you want to get to the root cause. So talk to me about some of the problems that people have who come in and see you. Most people think chiropractic is back pain, but there's a lot more than that.
Oh, absolutely. With my radio shows, of course, they're heard all over the world. A lot of people call up and say, I never thought about going to a chiropractor for acid reflux, or I never thought about going to a chiropractor for constipation. And when I explain to them how the body works, they say the 3 words I love to hear. The 3 words I love a woman, I always joke, I want a woman to whisper this in my ear. That makes sense.
Right.
Because for the first time in their lives, I had a patient yesterday, severe headaches since she was in 5th grade. She's a senior in high school now. Debilitating headaches. She couldn't even stand up. Her headaches were so bad yesterday. And she had gone and she'd done all the nutrition work and she'd done the holistic route and she'd done the drug route. Nothing was working. I said, did anybody ever say that you might have bones in your head out of place? Because she played soccer since she was a child. And she said, no. So we checked her out. I felt her neck and she almost dropped to her knees in pain just by me touching the side of her neck. So we have 5 doctors here. We have 3 offices, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. And so my doctors are here. And we took a look at her. And as soon as one of my doctors adjusted her neck, put the bone back in place, she started crying. And we looked at her and said, you okay? And she said, it doesn't hurt. For the first time since 5th grade, my head doesn't hurt. And she was crying in happiness. So people think about chiropractic for back pain and neck pain. Absolutely. We're really good at that. But we then start asking other questions. Do you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating? As a matter of fact, I do. And in fact, in my analysis with my patients, about 80% of my patients have digestive problems. I always joke 80% of my patients have digestive problems, a 20% lie. Because so many people have gas or bloating or diarrhea or acid reflux. You don't want to talk about it. It's not a first date conversation. But many times the stomach can move out of place and push up against the diaphragm. And so we have to adjust or manually massage or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And when we do, the stomach relaxes, the whole digestive system relaxes, and many times they're able to digest their food again. And acid reflux, you can take medication for that, and that's very helpful. It covers up the symptoms. But a lot of the medication you take for acid reflux can prevent you from absorbing calcium, magnesium, B12, and iron. Now suddenly you don't have acid reflux, but you go into malnutrition. And if you stop the stomach from producing acid, you need acid to break proteins into amino acids so that you can absorb them to be utilized in your body. So now people aren't absorbing their amino acids either properly. So many times their health problems are physical, not chemical. And this is one of the shifts we need to have in medicine, is that so many times we're trying to treat it chemically when the problem is something that's physical. So we see a lot of patients with digestive problems along with spinal problems and pretty much any health issue. We have high blood pressure patients. We have anxiety patients. I had an autistic patient the other day, 3-year-old, aphasic, couldn't speak. And I said, how's his digestion? Oh, he's got horrible gas and diarrhea. His stomach is bloated. He burps all the time. As soon as we adjusted his spine and his stomach, the next day the mother came in and the baby was running around laughing and making noises for the first time in 3 years. And the mother said his stomach flattened out and he slept through the night. So they were trying to treat it chemically when the problem was physical.
Right. Now, talk to me a little bit more about the digestive system, because I know a lot of these diseases that people have start in the gut. How important is it to get that sorted out?
It's going to be the key to a lot of your health issues. For example, any emotional issue, anxiety, depression, bipolar, suicidal even. I always find an undiagnosed digestive problem because the stomach breaks proteins into amino acids, and amino acids, one of the things they do is become neurotransmitters in your brain. The chemicals in your brain that make you think, that make you focus, that bring you pleasure. And so if we can fix the digestive system and the nerves to the digestive system, we see a dramatic improvement in most cases to the patient's emotional status. So if you have gas or bloating or acid reflux, chronic cough, I had a patient yesterday with that, it's acid coming up into his throat. Sinus problems, many times it's a digestive issue that everybody's just ignoring.
So, with the recent news, with things going on, especially with these shootings that we are all too familiar with, can those kinds of things be linked back to digestive problems?
In many emotional cases, yes. Again, I've never treated any of these shooters, so I can't speak for them. But one of the common core that we seem to find is a lot of these shooters, and some people say all, but I don't have that information as a fact, are on some type of psychotropic medication. And so when they interview some of the shooters who weren't killed, some of them that they made it to prison, many of them say the same thing. They said, I felt like I was in a dream. I didn't realize that this was real. They thought they were dreaming that they were doing this. And so many times we can alter the brain for good, but sometimes that can go awry. And so in cases like that, I'm not saying get off your medication. I never say that to any patient. What I'm saying is let's see what else is happening. Is there nutritional deficiency? Is the digestive system not working? Are there pinched nerves cutting off the nerve and blood supply up into the brain? Is there a health issue that's preventing you from staying active? So you can't maybe exercise, and that can lead to emotional disorders. Or you're not getting enough sunlight. Sunlight gives you vitamin D, and vitamin D3 helps with emotional disorders, along with a bunch of other problems. So we sit down with patients and try to dig deeper into just, hey, my neck hurts. What should I do about it?
Right. I mean, that's quite an amazing link, really, between the digestive issues and the emotional response, which is, extremely telling. But talk to me about the nutrition, because obviously nutrition plays a great part in health. We're not really getting the nutrition that we need with our standard American diet. What is wrong with that, and what should be the focus?
Well, that's the problem. Since 1980s, we have a lot of new foods on the market. Genetically modified foods, high fructose corn syrup. We're using things like glyphosate to spray on something as simple as wheat, where before 1980s or even more recent, we weren't spraying glyphosate, which is a weed killer, on our wheat crops. Now what we do many times, not always, we'll spray weed killer on the wheat to kill the wheat before we harvest it, because it's easier to harvest if the plant is dead. Well, there's residual chemicals on that food. Coffee. 90% of people in this country have some type of caffeine every day. Coffee is one of the most highly sprayed foods there are. And so when you're drinking coffee, it's going to affect your brain function. In fact, just last week, I did a whole 2-hour show on the neurotransmitters and how coffee affects neurotransmitters. And it was 2 hours we talked about that. But if you're going to drink coffee, at least do organic coffee, so you're not getting the pesticides. If you're going to do wheat, at least do organic wheat, so you don't do the pesticides. So there's a lot of things that we want to look at when it comes to nutrition. I always say there's 7 deadly sins of nutrition. And the 7 deadly sins are alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. And collectively, your whole audience just went, my God, that's everything.
That's everything.
But the good news is there's about 120,000 good foods that you can eat. And so it's not a shortage of good food, it's a shortage of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And I think supplements are huge. I take supplements every day. In fact, I have my own line of supplements. I have 11 supplements that I've created. And the core supplements that I recommend people take are Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. There are 2 powders. The Essential Source is of fruits and vegetables dried into a powder. And now we dry it at a very low temperature so that the enzymes aren't destroyed, because enzymes are vital to health. And most of us, if we're eating the standard American diet, as you said, the SAD diet, SAD, standard American diet, we're just not getting enzymes into our diet. And enzymes are the reason that our body heals, that our brain works, that we're alive. And we're depleting our enzyme stores because we eat so much cooked and processed foods. So the Super Greens, the Essential Source, are powders. They taste great when they mix together. And they're loaded with enzymes. So you need to have a digestive system to break down your food, and you have to be able to absorb the food, but you have to be able to get good food in so you can break it down and absorb it. So the Super Greens, I'm sorry.
So as far as like the big scale problem with so many bad foods in the supermarkets and the organic foods being so much more expensive. Do you see any kind of solution to this nutritional problem?
Absolutely. It's very, very easy and cheaper than anything we're doing right now. It's interesting. A friend of mine, she volunteers at a food bank. And when people come to the food bank, many times they'll have things like fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds. And the people, she says, walk right past that and go right to the chips, right to the processed food, right to the bagged food. And so I think what we have to do is make it, well, if we can, I'm a capitalist, so I'm not, I don't know if this is possible, not necessarily make it less available, but make people more educated. So for example, if you were going to do a healthy meal, it's a whole lot cheaper to eat rice and beans than it is to eat hamburgers. And it's a whole lot cheaper to make a pot of soup. I made a pot of soup last night, as a matter of fact. I put it in my crock pot. And it was organic beans, organic celery, carrots, tomatoes, organic broth. It cost me $9, we'll go high, $9 to make one of the big crock pots full of soup. Now that'll last me, I can feed 20 people with that, probably. So for $9, I can feed 20 people. Wait a minute, or even 10 people. Let's get crazy. 10 people. That's still less than $1 a meal. Still a whole lot cheaper than buying $1 worth of hamburgers or $1 worth of chips. So what people need to realize is that it's a whole lot cheaper to eat healthy than it is to eat unhealthy. They just have to learn how.
That's right, and that does seem to be a myth. Is that the organic, healthy food is always so much more expensive, and it's just quicker and easier to go buy a, off the dollar menu, basically.
Sure.
Now, talk to me about the preparation part as well, because the whole fast food industry is, definitely not helping with the weight issues in the country.
And again, I'm a capitalist. If they want to do it, that's fine with me, but I want to teach you how not to do it. So for example, last night, I'll use that as a perfect example. It took me 13 minutes to prepare this whole crock pot of soup. I was watching TV while I was doing it. And I started at 9 o'clock, and at 9:13, I walked away. Turned it on, woke up this morning, it was all done. Now I put it in jars and I freeze it. And so now I have meals. I very seldom go out to lunch. I bring my lunch almost every day because it's quicker, easier, and cheaper than anything I can buy out. If we're going to buy lunch in even a halfway decent restaurant, $10. Cheap restaurant, $5. I can make a salad with nuts and seeds, nutritional yeast, apple cider vinegar, salad dressing, and be full for $2. So there is a little prep time involved, but I do it at night. I'm watching TV. I'm going to sit on the couch. Why not stand up? I'm exercising. I'm moving, and I'm saving money, and I'm eating healthier, and I'm saving time. I don't have to get in my car and drive. That costs me gas and mileage and wear and tear on my car. It takes time out of my day. But if I have time, I can go for a walk. Instead of going to the restaurant that takes me an hour and a half to do, I can go for a walk for 20 minutes and get all the benefits from that and save money.
So what would you say are some of the biggest myths or misconceptions about the health industry?
All doctors are out to get you. Doctors have an agenda. They're out to steal your money. It's not true. Most doctors are not. I'm very familiar with all doctors. We have a team of doctors that we work with. Chiropractors, medical doctors, orthopedics, neurologists, neurosurgeons, vascular surgeons, physical therapists. And everyone that I work with, we all have one goal. What's the best for you, the patient? I have surgeons send us cases all the time saying, Joe, listen, this person came in and they did a surgical consult. Why don't you work on them for 6 or 8 weeks and see what you can do? And if you can't get them well, send them back to us and we'll do the surgery. Excellent. I have patients come in screaming, I'm not out of pain. It's been 2 visits. Let me send you over to the surgeon. Let me see if you're a surgical case. Let me send you out for pain management. Almost all the time, the doctors say, listen, you went to go see Joe's doctors for 2 visits, 3 visits, 5 visits. Stop. It's way too soon to decide if it's going to work or not. Now, some people get better in, response in 1 visit. So we work together hand in hand. So doctors are not out to get you. There is no hidden agenda where these doctors all get together and we talk about you and how we have these secret cures for cancer and no one's telling it. Many times we don't know. That's why I have my team of doctors that I can refer to. So I don't know anyone who has secrets to health that they're keeping. They may not know what that is, but that's when they should refer out to others. The other myth is that the insurance companies are out for your best interest. That's a total lie. People call up and say, well, Dr. Joe, you're not in my network. And I say the reason doctors drop out of networks, insurance networks, is because many times it costs the doctor more money to see the patient than they make collecting from the insurance company. We had one insurance network, we were losing $8.30 every time we saw a patient. And so it was cheaper for us to drop out of the network and work with out-of-network benefits than it was to be in the network. So the insurance companies want to drive you to their doctors, of course, because many times in-network benefits, they pay less than out-of-network benefits. So always consider what's really going on. What's the bottom line when it comes to going to see your doctor? And even if your doctor isn't in network, let's say, is your health worth sacrificing? And if it is, absolutely, I support your decision. But if it's not, I want you to consider that nothing's more valuable than health.
Definitely.
In most cases, it's a lot cheaper to be healthy than it is to be sick.
So what do you consider that somebody should do as far as getting themselves into good health? Somebody that constantly catches colds or sick or the flu and, just never seems to be well. What are the first things that they should do?
Okay, number one is you got to cut out certain things. The number one food I suggest everyone cut out is any artificial sweetener. So artificial sweetener, cut it out. You can use things like stevia. That's a fine replacement for artificial sweeteners and sugars. Number two, cut out the sugars. Okay? Because the artificial sweeteners and the sugars are the things that weaken the immune system the most. In fact, in my most recent book, it's called Prescription for Extreme Health, I have a chapter on sugar, and we talk about how if you have a white blood cell, on average, that white blood cell can kill about 14 bad guys. We call them pathogens. 14 bad guys before they die. If you have the amount of sugar in a can of soda, that same white blood cell can kill about one pathogen or one bad guy before it dies. So with the flu season that just passed, I didn't get sick. People that followed my advice didn't get sick. Now, I'm not saying it's a guaranteed cure, but nobody I know who lived my lifestyle got sick. And everyone I know who did get sick. So let's assume I'm wrong. So what? I'm wrong. You didn't eat some bad food. You ate some good food. If you had spinal issues, you got chiropractic care. If you had digestive issues, hopefully you come to see us and we work on that for you as well. And I always tell every one of my patients, if I'm wrong, so what? But if I'm right, which I am, then you'll say, okay, this is the lifestyle I want to lead. And I said, prove me wrong or prove me right. Give me 60 days. Do everything I say for 60 days. And if I'm wrong, so what? Fair enough?
Fair enough. Now, talking about the flu season, where do you stand on the flu vaccines and other vaccines?
Not a big fan of vaccines. And I'm going to tell you, aside from the vaccine part of it, one of the problems I see is what we call adjuvants. Adjuvants are things that we add to the vaccines, like aluminum, artificial sweetener, mercury. These chemicals, what happens is we put them in your body, and your body starts attacking them because they're foreign. Well, if I have a virus or a germ, my immune system's going to attack a virus or a germ and eventually win. Or you die, but I'm assuming you're going to win. And it's done. When you put something like a heavy metal into the body keeps attacking it, but it never dies. So it just keeps attacking it. And so the immune system gets overstressed. The other thing I'm concerned with vaccines is the amount of vaccines. We can test one vaccine. We can test another vaccine. But nobody tests what happens when you mix 5, 10, 15 vaccines together. That's where the problems come in. Because again, if you have baking soda, that's great. And if you have vinegar, that's great. But you mix them two together, it's a volatile compound. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening with vaccines. And some people can deal with it and some people can't. And you don't know you can't deal with it until you find out you can't deal with it. So my approach is, what if we just got the world healthy? That's kind of a novel approach, I know, but cut out the bad foods, cut out the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Supplements, of course, I think are huge. I'd start with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source as an absolute minimum. Most people burn out their adrenal glands from stress and coffee, so I take an adrenal supplement. Most people need omega-3 fatty acid supplements. I take an algae oil. That's going to get the body chemically balanced. Physically, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, car accidents, sports injuries, get the spine fixed. Don't ignore it. Covering it up is fine short term, but you always want to get to the cause of the problem. And then if you have the acid reflux, the heartburn, the burping, the gas, the bloating, get that fixed. The digestive system it's the second brain. You have your main brain, you have your digestive system. Same cells, they form from the same cells when mommy and daddy got together and you were a little embryo there. And so they control each other. And one not working is going to affect the other. So if we want to get healthy, eat the food of the paupers. How about that? Whether you go back to the Bible, the story of Daniel, where he ate the food of the poor people, he didn't want to eat the food of the kings. Go to countries that aren't rich. If you go, traditional Mexican food is what? Beans and rice, guacamole, vegetables, good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up Italian. The pauper food was pasta fazool, which was beans and rice, or beans and pasta. Of course, different pasta. It didn't have all the pesticides, but a lot of vegetables, a lot of nuts, a lot of fruits. So if we go back to the way our grandparents eat, that's a good simple rule. I know we're running out of time. Eat the food that your grandmother ate. If your grandmother couldn't have eaten it because it wasn't available, you shouldn't eat it either.
So, Dr. Joe, give me an example of somebody that you've worked with that really stands out in your mind. What kind of physical problems were they dealing with, or mental or emotional problems were they dealing with when they came to see you? What were you able to do for them, and how did it change your life?
Oh gosh, I can give you one a day if you need that. I've been in practice 33 years. I just talked about one yesterday with the girl had the headaches, the autistic child who was just amazing, and another child had terrible eczema. And the mother was in tears, bringing the child in, a baby, a couple of months old, and couldn't stop scratching. Had to put mittens on the kid, total head to toe red. I mean, it was just horrible. They gave the kid steroids, which sometimes are necessary, but steroids shut down your immune system. So we started working on the baby. We adjusted their spine, adjusted their digestive system, took them off dairy products because she was giving them dairy. Dairy is the #1 food allergen. And she came in about 3 days later, and the baby didn't have the mittens on. And I said, "What happened?" She goes, "He's not scratching anymore." And the whole body was scabs now. And about 2 weeks later, she brought him back in, and he was, waddling around, crawling around on the floor. That's pretty cool when you see a baby's life change. As far as adults go, we've had patients with chronic pain for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And when you start putting the bones back in place, getting the diet and the digestive system working, they come in and it's crazy how happy they are. I had one lady one time, she came in and she had a injured back. And I said, "This is the nerve to the reproductive organs." And she said, "Well, we're trying to get pregnant. We've spent about $30,000. We can't get pregnant." And so we started working on her. A couple of months later, she came back in, big smile on her face. And I looked at her. I remember her name was Mary. I said, "Mary, are you pregnant?" And she looked at me. She goes, "How did you know?" "I haven't told anyone yet. I just left the doctor's office." And I said, "You have that glow about you." Mm-hmm. So Joe, he crocheted a sweatshirt and it said, "Dr. Joe got me pregnant." And so I said, "Don't wear that in public, Mary." So, but those are, that's just off the top of my head. But if you gave me time, I could probably give you 2 or 3 patients a day that were just miracle stories. And this is 33 years ago now. Yeah.
That's great. You're making a tremendous difference to the community, and you do a lot of education as well with your radio show. We've touched on just a few very important things here today, but like you said on your show, you can spend 2 hours just going over one simple thing that has many implications. So what's the best way for people to learn more from you, Dr. Joe, and just hear about some of the things that they might be able to implement in their own life to get them a little bit healthier?
Absolutely. My website is drjoeesposito.com, all one word, or just Google Dr. Joe with the #1 Dr. Joe in the world. It comes up, Health Plus Wellness Center. We have articles I've written there. We have hundreds of hours of radio shows podcasted there. I videotape all my live lectures. So whenever I do a live lecture, it's on there as well. So if you're a visual learner, we have visual. If you're audio, we have audio. Read the articles. If you have questions, you can send them to me through the website, drjoeesposito.com. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, you can do that on the website as well. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. We want to be your doctors. The supplements that we talked about are there also on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, you can order them there. But the website is the easiest way to get in touch with me, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe.
Excellent. Well, Dr. Joe, it has been very educational. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me this morning and teaching our audience of some of the very important things about the nervous system and digestive system and nutrition as well. And as he said, all that information is at drjoeesposito.com. And I'm in Marietta as well, so I need to stop by and see you.
I would like that, Neil. That'd be wonderful. I look forward to meeting you.
Well, thanks very much for being a guest on Expert Profiles Atlanta today. And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
Thank you for listening to Expert Profiles Atlanta with Neil Howe. To learn more about the resources in the show or to listen to past episodes, visit expertprofilesatlanta.com.